Hello everyone, it's Stefan again from Love New York and Loving Travel. By now, I've been to the USA almost 30 times, and I think it's time to put an end to all the bad news surrounding the USA. In this video, I'm going to show you the most beautiful places in the USA from the East Coast to the West Coast. Many are right in the middle, and many are from my own trips that I've already taken. With that in mind, have fun getting inspired, and let's get started with the most beautiful places in the USA. Arches National Park blew me away. There you'll find over 2,000 stone arches in fantastic colors, and this national park alone has so many highlights that I even ended up changing my road trip plans a bit. That's how beautiful the place was. Plan to spend at least 2 days here in Arches National Park. I was there for 3 days and it was simply amazing. At every turn, I found an incredible photo opportunity, and if you travel there and want to see even more impressions, I recommend my video about the southwest of the USA. Arches National Park was actually part of my road trip, and in that video you'll find many more tips and impressions of this sensational national park. This is a place that truly grew close to my heart during my trips along the famous Highway Number 1. Here you'll find so many things coming together that you imagine when you think about California and Highway Number 1. Big Sur was really important to me. Here are already 2 tips for you. Tip number 1, check for road closures in advance. There are often landslides there, and it can happen that bridges and so on are simply closed so you can't get through. Tip number 2, don't drive through there with an empty or nearly empty tank, because the number of gas stations is much lower than you might expect. On my last visit, I drove through there feeling pretty uneasy because my fuel gauge was already in the red zone. If you're already there, you absolutely have to visit Pfeiffer Beach and the Bixby Creek Bridge. Chicago is one of the most influential places I've visited during my travels in the USA. It's a beautiful city with lots of architecture, stunning skyscrapers, located right on Lake Michigan, and that combination alone is already amazing. Chicago was one of my destinations because that's where Route 66 starts, which we drove all the way from beginning to end. If you're there, I really recommend taking an architecture boat tour. It's a real eye-opener when you cruise through Chicago like that. The tours on Lake Michigan are also fantastic. And no, that's not Photoshop or edited pictures. The colors really are that amazing. The Grand Canyon is the next highlight. I've been there several times already, and I'm afraid that videos never really capture just how impressive it is. Just to give you a sense of scale, when you walk along there at the South Rim, you can sometimes see the Colorado River, which has carved its way through over thousands of years, and it's a full kilometer below where you're standing. Those are the kinds of dimensions we're talking about. So if you have 2 or 3 days, I think the most realistic thing is to walk along the South Rim. If you have a bit more time, it also makes sense to take tours on the Colorado River or join guided tours that take you through the Grand Canyon. You can stay overnight in Grand Canyon Village. They also have 1 or 2 campgrounds nearby. Again, it's important to book relatively early because the campgrounds fill up quickly, since this is a very popular travel destination, and I think rightfully so. It is a place of extremes and the largest national park outside of Alaska. If you visit, probably the most famous place you'll head to is Badwater Basin. It's known for its amazing salt polygons and is located 86 meters below sea level, making it the lowest point in North America. There, you look out over a vast salt flat, totally surreal. To give you a sense of scale, it's about 500 square kilometers in size, which is as large as the district of Munich. You get a really beautiful view over Death Valley and the Salt Flats from Dante's View. It's very easy to reach. The parking lot is right at the viewpoint, so you don't have to hike. And yes, Death Valley is also known as a record-breaking hotspot, with temperatures that regularly exceed 50 degrees Celsius. Which means for you, always make sure to have enough water with you. And now let's move on to a beautiful place that you probably didn't know about. At least it was new to me. I happened to stumble upon a documentary and it suggested something that really caught my attention. So there is a place called Loving County, not just Loving Travel or Loving New York, but Loving County, and I just had to check it out. What's so special about it? There's nothing there. It's the county with the fewest inhabitants in the entire USA. And if you take a look on Google Maps, show me attractions or sites that are nearby. You see, when you scroll or search, you'll automatically be sent about 100 miles east. There really is nothing there? So if you still want to see what life is like there, I'll link you to the video from Rocker News below. I found it really fascinating, and now let's continue with the next beautiful places in the USA. You might have already noticed in the videos I've posted here about my USA road trips. Monument Valley was featured very prominently in them. It's something I associate with beautiful journeys through the USA. It also belongs to the Navajo Nation. It's not a national park, and you get that iconic view with the rock formations rising out of an incredible expanse. Very important, when you're there, it gets really crowded. If you want to visit the beautiful photo spots like the Forrest Gump viewpoint, plan a bit more time. Especially on weekends, it gets really busy there. Many areas of Monument Valley can only be explored with a guide. There are also campgrounds there, and what I really like is that many of these campgrounds are owned by the Navajo Nation, and they also run them themselves. And many of these campgrounds are very rustic, but I can tell you, that doesn't take away from the experience at all. If you've ever experienced the sunset there while sitting in front of your RV and chatting with others, it's simply incredible. And if you're near the Grand Canyon, you absolutely have to visit Monument Valley as well. It's one of the most beautiful and quintessentially American places that I've truly grown attached to. Now let's move on to New England and Martha's Vineyard. I explored these two beautiful regions together with my dad as we took a scenic road trip. New England is exactly the charming and picturesque place that you would imagine it to be. Lots of coastline, lots of small towns, lighthouses, just like you see in the movies. And if you have the time, be sure to visit Martha's Vineyard as well. Very, very important here. The ferries don't run all the time. There's an off season, so it's better to plan a little extra time. I don't know if everyone will be as lucky as I was, because on our trip, we caught the last ferry before the season ended. If you're in New England, you should visit Boston. It's a city that offers a big contrast, but a very relaxed contrast to New York. The Niagara Falls are located right on the border between the USA and Canada. There's a US side where you're closer to the Niagara Falls. But I think the side in Canada is nicer because you just have a much better panoramic view. If you're driving from the USA to Canada by car or camper, you don't need an extra visa. You can drive over the Freedom Bridge and enter quite easily. What you can also do if you feel like it is take the boat tour up to the Niagara Falls. One thing I can tell you, you will definitely get wet, and there's also a tour that goes behind the Niagara Falls. I did that too, and it was absolutely impressive when you see just how big or how massive the volumes of water are that come crashing down there. Of course, New York is on the list. That probably doesn't surprise you at all. It's such a magnificent city that has something to offer for everyone. Whether it's your first time, second, third, fourth, or fifth time there, whether you're interested in food or just in architecture, you can experience all of that in New York. I was there for the very first time in 2001, and that's why it's a very, very special place for me. I associate it with so many wonderful personal experiences. I'm lucky that my job revolves around New York and traveling in the USA, so New York simply can't be missing from this list. Plan for about 5 days so you can experience New York in a relaxed way. If you've already been there, explore neighborhoods like Red Hook in Brooklyn. It's absolutely beautiful. And just for New York, I made a separate video with the most beautiful places in the city. I'll link that for you below, and you'll find tons of videos about New York here on the channel anyway. What a sensational city. Route 66 is a truly historic, iconic route that runs from Chicago all the way to LA. I've actually driven the entire route once before. The second time, I drove large parts of it again, and I can tell you it was one of the most beautiful road trips I've ever taken. There you'll find exactly those retro vibes, those diners, small motels, neon signs, gas stations, and cute little towns, just like you imagine. By the way, Route 66 often runs parallel to the interstate. The interstate has replaced Route 66 in many areas, which is why it's already crumbling in a lot of places. Yes, it's not really well preserved everywhere, so if you drive along it, plan for a relaxed 2 weeks, or better yet, 2.5 weeks, to really enjoy the different stages. In St. Louis, it makes sense to make a short stop. Yes, Seligman and Kingman are touristy, but it's actually really fun to be there. It's really fun to mingle with the people there because in many places, the spirit is still absolutely alive. In some parts, you'll also see that it's a bit over the top. There, it's already very, very touristy. Nevertheless, Route 66 is a truly wonderful place, which, by the way, is turning 100 years old this year. There's also a separate video from me where I show you the most beautiful sights along Route 66. All in all, it's one of the most beautiful routes I've ever taken, and that's why it couldn't be missing from my list. San Francisco is such an iconic, important city on the west coast of the USA in California. Don't be surprised, it's not as warm as you might expect just because you associate it with California. I was definitely really surprised that I suddenly had to pull out my hoodie again in the summer, but San Francisco itself is fantastic. The hills, the cable cars climbing up them, the Golden Gate Bridge. You can take a lovely walk along the water. Truly, truly wonderful. If you want to visit Alcatraz, here's my tip: book very, very early. I'll put the link below and also in the first pinned comment because it's very popular and sells out quickly. Also, take the time to head over to Sausalito. Yes, you'll drive across the Golden Gate Bridge to get there. You can also take the ferry, and from there you'll have a fantastic view of San Francisco. Antelope Canyon is truly one of the most beautiful places I have explored on my travels. From the outside, it looks completely unremarkable. Why? It's a slot canyon located on Navajo land. That means the canyon is actually below the surface. On the tours, and you can only access it through guided tours, you'll see amazing sandstone formations and beautiful beams of light breaking through in absolutely stunning colors. It's an absolute highlight, and as I said, barely noticeable from the outside. The best time for photos is around midday when it's also not yet really, really hot. And my tip, if you want to go there, make sure to book really, really early. I've put the link below the video so you can go straight to the right place. That way, you can still decide whether you want to visit the upper or the lower canyon. Yosemite National Park is almost 3,000 square kilometers in size, just to give you an idea of the scale. That's bigger than Saarland, and it's known for its huge waterfalls, granite cliffs, deep valleys, and the High Sierra. An incredible diversity of nature awaits you there. The Yosemite Falls, meaning the waterfalls, are especially famous. There's not always water flowing there. The peak season is in May. Roughly speaking, from November to July, you can usually see the waterfalls. The Half Dome is one of the most iconic rocks there. And if you have the time, be sure to visit the Mariposa Grove as well. That's an area where around 500 of these giant sequoia trees stand. You can easily travel back and forth between the Welcome Plaza and this area by shuttle bus. And since this year, there's something new in the national park. There are no more timed entry reservations. Previously, you needed a timed entry ticket for many national parks, including this one. That's no longer the case since 2026 because they said they've organized things so well that it works without timed entries. But they also give the tip: if you want a more relaxed experience, come during the week rather than, well, on the weekend. I already mentioned the Colorado River, and now comes a very special section. I'm talking about Horseshoe Bend. It's not that far from the Grand Canyon and not that far from Monument Valley either, but it's definitely worth a detour because here the Colorado River makes a horseshoe-shaped bend. That's where the name comes from. It's just a short walk from the parking lot where, as mentioned, you can park until you reach the viewpoint. Very important, keep your distance from the edge. If you're already there and you want to see a bit more, the town of Page with Antelope Canyon, which is also on this list, is right nearby. And yes, Horseshoe Bend is simply absolutely magnificent. And especially if you're doing a tour through the southwest of the USA, it's really a destination that fits perfectly into your travel itinerary and is definitely worth it. An absolute postcard scene, as beautiful as it gets, is the Indian summer in Vermont. I've experienced that too when we did our tour from New York through Boston to Niagara Falls to DC and back. It's very impressive. You should definitely plan to stay for at least 2 to 3 full days. And I will be sure to provide a direct link to the official website down below. Because this vibrant peak season, the specific time when the autumn leaves are at their most stunning and colorful, actually varies quite a bit from year to year. And if you really want to plan your entire trip carefully to catch all of the major highlights, you should definitely take a close look at this detailed map. I can recommend the Kancamaga Scenic Byway. But be aware, there's no cell phone reception, but that's not a problem. If you drive along there, I also recommend stopping in Burlington. It's very close by. It was a wonderful experience. And if you want to experience this postcard perfect scenery, you should definitely plan your trip for the fall. Bryce Canyon, or more precisely, Bryce Canyon National Park, is considered by many to be one of the most beautiful national parks of all. And I've talked to a lot of people who really know the USA well, and Bryce Canyon is very often mentioned in the top 2 or top 3, and quite often even ahead of the Grand Canyon because it's so unique. What makes it special are these rock spires. So you don't have a classic canyon here. These formations are called hoodoos, and it's already very, very impressive when you look at the canyon from the viewpoints, but also take the time to walk through the canyon. It's also wonderful at night because from there you can see an incredibly clear, starry sky, as Bryce Canyon is part of the dark sky region. That means there is hardly any light pollution and you simply have sensational views of the night sky. And that's why Bryce Canyon couldn't be missing from my list. Lake Tahoe is the next spot on my list. It's the largest mountain lake in North America and the second deepest lake in the USA. It is over 500 meters deep and is located right on the border between California and Nevada. And what makes it special? It's extremely clear water. There are measurements that say it is 99.994% pure, and in some places you can see down as far as 21 meters and still make out everything. Totally mind-blowing. In winter, it doesn't freeze over completely. The water is generally cool all year round, and the region around Lake Tahoe is, let's call it, a year-round destination. That means in summer, of course, water sports and hiking are at the top of the list, and in winter, you can go skiing there in the Sierra Nevada. In general, you can remember that the north is a bit quieter, while the south of Lake Tahoe is a bit livelier. Definitely pay attention to the peak times. So, especially on weekends, there can be traffic jams. The parking lots are full, and if you're still flexible with your planning, try to be there during the week. Sequoia National Park was established back in 1890 to protect the giant sequoias, that is, the sequoia trees. The absolute highlight for many is the giant forest. 5 of the 10 largest trees in the world stand there in terms of volume, and above all, the General Sherman tree is located there. That is the largest tree of them all. It is over 80 meters tall, has a diameter of 11 meters, and is already more than 2,000 years old. What you'll notice when you're there are, I assume, pine cones lying around in some places. The pine cones are easily as big, about the size of my forearm. And while you're there, Kings Canyon is right next door. It can boast of being the deepest canyon in the USA. At its deepest point, it is 2.5 kilometers deep. That means it's almost twice as deep, so to speak, as the Grand Canyon. And when you're there, Morro Rock offers you the very best view. But for that, you'll have to climb 350 steps to the top. Florida, and especially the Keys, are a popular travel destination for many people, and for good reason. Palm trees, big cities, theme parks, the ocean. The Keys are especially famous for the Overseas Highway. That's pure road trip feeling. You'll be driving for a long time on a bridge, either through or along a chain of islands. It's simply breathtaking. In Key West, you'll find a Caribbean vibe and absolutely stunning sunsets you can experience there. But yes, it's also touristy, so it's no longer a hidden gem. And if you're already in Florida, make sure to plan a trip to the Everglades. It's a total contrast to the rest, to Miami and the like, but it's an absolute highlight if you've experienced it. The Great Sand Dunes are the highest sand dunes in North America, and that alone is already very impressive. But what's really amazing is their location, because in the background you have huge mountains, and it's a really absurd and very beautiful combination when you're there. A little tip, the sand can get really hot, so definitely make sure to bring shoes with you. So flip-flops aren't always a good idea. And something else you can do, which is a lot of fun, is sandboarding. You can actually ride down the sand dunes on them. Not only because of the TV series has it come back into the spotlight for so many people. I'm talking about Yellowstone National Park. It is the oldest national park in the world. It was founded in 1872 and covers almost 9,000 square kilometers. What makes it special? Above all, its geothermal features. There are lots of geysers here. What should you see there? Of course, for many people, Old Faithful is a must-see. You should also visit the Grand Prismatic Spring or the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. Very important, wildlife is a major topic here. You can see bison, but you can also see bears and wolves. But here's something crucial. Number 1, always stay on the boardwalks around the geysers and similar areas. Don't touch anything around them, it can be extremely hot, and always keep a safe distance from the animals. The next highlight takes us to Montana, specifically to Glacier National Park with the Going to the Sun Road. This is one of the most spectacular scenic roads in the USA. It takes you 50 miles across the park over the Continental Divide. Truly one of the best the USA has to offer. You have the Logan Pass as the highest point, and on either side you'll find so many incredibly beautiful views that you'll be left in awe the entire time. There are glaciers, waterfalls, valleys, massive mountains, and also plenty of wildlife waiting for you there. If you visit this national park or any of the other national parks I've mentioned here, you should definitely take a look at the National Park Pass. It costs $250 per vehicle, and you need it to enter the national parks. You can find all the information about it again in the first pinned comment and in the description. Hawaii is something truly, truly special. It's not just a single island, it's an island chain all the way in the west of the USA, and something very, very unique. Each island has its own distinct focus. And when you travel to Hawaii, you'll notice how different the climate can be within just an hour. The nature is extremely diverse. You have rainforests, coral reefs, high mountains, and volcanoes. One more thing about Hawaii. Hawaii is not cheap. Yes, your travel budget will definitely feel it. But from so many people who have been there, I keep hearing that it was definitely worth it. And if you book well in advance, you can actually save a bit. Nevertheless, it's not a cheap travel destination, but it's definitely an incredibly beautiful one. So, my dears, that was my video about the most beautiful and extraordinary places in the USA. And as you can see, the USA simply has an incredible amount of beautiful things to offer. If this video helped you, I'd be happy if you gave me a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel. It's completely free for you, or you can recommend it to someone who is currently interested in the USA and traveling. I'll link you to 2 more videos in a moment so we can see each other there as well. Thank you so much for watching the video, and well, goodbye. Yours, Stefan, from Loving New York and Loving Travel.